Yo guys, what's up? Outcast here, and welcome back to another episode of the SDM podcast. I'm not entirely sure how many we're in now, to be honest, but anyway,
Number
this
12.
number 12. Okay, so basically the voice you're hearing in the back is the very sexy, the Mahi Mahi, which is Kahuna. And we also have joining us today the Death Grip Master, which is SDM Richie. How's it going, guys?
Going very well, my friend. How's your good self?
Yeah, you're not sounding too well, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, it's not been a good couple of days, if I'm being honest, but hey ho, we shall move on. You know, we shall carry on as long as there's paracetamol, Lemsip, and various other medicines in the world, we'll get by.
The medicine.
We won't ask you who. I mean, what you've been doing.
Subtle.
Who? What?
Good thing my wife never listens to these.
Well, that's a shame.
Indeed, we could use the views.
We can certainly use the views and the likes, that's for damn sure. But yeah, I mean, we're just bringing you another fun-filled episode filled of your gaming and tech, the world of gaming and tech. And I think we'll get Kahuna, since you're feeling quite off today. I think we'll get you starting off with what you have for us today.
You're a wonderful human being. I've said this many, many times. And incidentally, I'd like to put a big thank you out to both SDM Richie and SDM Outcast Zero for two reasons. It was recently my birthday. I'm another year older, and as the song goes, deeper in debt. But thank you both, gents. I got some wonderful care packages from the two of you, so just throwing that one out there right off the bat.
You gotta get me tearing up, man.
You know what it's like. I'll hit you with some emotion when you're not expecting it. But moving on with the news, I think probably the. Oh man!
I didn't even know I could cry.
Stop the recording! Stop the recording! But yeah, no. Well, what I got to say is quite a fair few interesting things going on this week. Probably the big one that took me by surprise and quite recent as well is both Microsoft and Sony have done some digital sales. We've got the Xbox Ultimate Game Sale, which is discounting a lot of titles on 360 and Xbox One. And in true fashion, with no prompting whatsoever, but 24 hours behind, Sony has followed suit with their own PlayStation Store sale as well, which is quite interesting. Some big titles and some big reductions, certainly on the Xbox One front. I'll be lying if I said I've looked deeply into what the PlayStation 4 is offering at the moment, but there's some substantial discounts to be had.
Do you think it was a case where PSN were like, they've just put on a sale, we better do something quick?
You know what? Probably, yeah. I would not be surprised in the slightest that that's the case. And why not? Good. We need the competition. It's good for everybody. Let's get digital prices down. I mean, we've discussed numerous times that, I mean, it's my own personal opinion that digital software titles are too expensive for what they are these days.
Oh yeah.
I think they must still be trying to make up for the whole Christmas debacle, because I think they're still getting a bit of lash back for that.
Yeah, no, certainly the loss of time and everything thanks to the old Lizard Squad denial of service attacks.
Yeah, I think, did you guys get I got an email of an extension of my Xbox Live for a month or two from the Christmas period. I got a message saying I've been extended for an extra month because of what happened at Christmas.
I got that for the PS4. I'm assuming for those reasons.
Yeah, I got one on both PSN and one on Xbox as well. Interestingly though, it's like, I'm pretty certain the email from Sony was saying that the extension was 5 days to make out for the length of time that PlayStation Network was down.
Yeah, it wasn't anything as miraculous as a month, unfortunately.
Hey, the live one was a month, wasn't it?
Well, it's like, I'm trying to remember, and I can't remember offhand because I knew I got a separate one because I'd picked up the Master Chief Collection, and it's numerous problems with matchmaking and patching and dropping out playlists, and as you know firsthand, Richie, we tried to play a couple of multiplayer games the other week, and it was like, how long were we sitting in the lobby with two of us trying to get in the game?
Yeah, it was quite some time. It's the same as that. I don't think, for some reason, game developers seem to be building their matchmaking based on if you're on your own or if you're with a full group of people. If you lose 2 or 3 people, it's almost impossible to get into some games.
Yeah, sometimes I don't get how they're doing the waiting or the the calculation for this. I mean, we've seen it a little bit in what we've been playing of Evolve as well. Not too bad, but it hasn't exactly been it hasn't exactly been lightning quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, have you guys had a chance to look at any of the titles that are on offer?
I didn't even know it was happening.
All right, well, allow me to educate you, sir. Basically, on the Xbox One Ultimate Game Sale, I say Xbox One, it's the Xbox Ultimate Game Sale. There's discounts on Alien Isolation, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Digital and Standard Editions, Ubisoft's The Crew, Destiny, Digital Guardian, ooh, Disney Fantasia, Music Evolved.
That's it. I'm waiting to buy an Xbox One right now.
That's it. If there was ever a killer app that was going to swing you across, that's not it.
It's done it. It's done it. Where did I order one? Amazon. Here I come.
Forza 5, Lara Croft, Temple of Osiris, Shadow of Mordor, Middle-earth, Watch Dogs, Trials Fusion. The Telltale Collection, unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, it's Game of Thrones, Tales from Borderlands, Wolf Among Us, and both series of The Walking Dead, so whereas individually those are quite cheap, it's an expensive bundle altogether. Pro Evo 2015 and Monopoly Family Fun Pack, but there's like some ultimate value deals as well, where there's like nearly 80% off if you're a gold member, 70% off standard. That covers like Angry Birds, Star Wars, Costume Quest 2, Kinect Sports Rivals, Lara Croft as originally mentioned, NBA Live 15, Sniper Elite 3, Styx Masters of Shadows, and Trials Fusion Season Pass, which actually at that price I might just pick up since I never bought the DLC for that.
Now tell me, come on, are you overly impressed?
You know what? Actually, yeah, I gotta say, because it's like I did take a look on the Xbox yesterday, and it's like you can get Sniper Elite 3 for 10 quid.
That is really good, actually.
That is really, really good.
Done for 50 quid. I'm having a look through some of these stuff now. I'm quite impressed with this.
It's actually not a bad reduction. I mean, I'm tempted by NBA Live 15. I've always been a big basketball fan. While I don't understand the inner workings of the
Well, I've seen that on
well.
Steam. Actually, they were letting you play it for free for whatever time they were letting you do it for. And I thought, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind picking it up. But I seen the price and I was like, no. Actually, I seen the file size and I was like, no. It's something crazy like 26 gig or something like that. If you're trying to download it, it's nuts.
Exactly.
You know, one of the things on it that seems to be quite strange is some of their top titles, like Advanced Warfare and Destiny. There is no extra discount if you're a gold member.
Yeah, it's exactly. I think there's like a few percentile difference, but it's not really enough to really. If you weren't going to do it, it's not going to push you over the edge. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, it's like these are digital downloads, obviously, but you're looking at £40.19 for both Advanced Warfare and Destiny. And you could probably go down to your local, game if you're in the UK or GameStop or something like that in the US and pick it up for about that anyway.
Actually, I'd probably say you get the physical copies cheaper now.
Yeah, but it's like,
simple
CD keys, you can get it for like 26 quid if you've got any and other sites of that nature.
Exactly. I mean, I would do the same and go through the list of PlayStation titles available. I don't know if I've got the throat for this, but we'll see what we can do.
Let me see if I can bring it up for you. Save your sexily seductive voice.
Indeed.
Let's see. Nope, I can't find it.
Okay, I'll roll.
Buying offers. Here we are. We should be around to be here somewhere. Offers, I would say. See, the PlayStation Store isn't as easy to run around as I would like.
It's not as easy to navigate. I'll, for the sake of our listeners and brevity, I'll roll with this one.
To be honest, like the Xbox Store isn't that easy to navigate when you're on the console. It took me about because when I downloaded the the DLC for Advanced Warfare, I didn't go for the season pass, and it took me a long time to actually find out where to download just the DLC because everything was like buy the season pass, and I was like, no, I don't want to buy the season pass, thanks.
Yeah, on the PlayStation Store, PS3's Batman Arkham City, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare Day Zero Edition, both PS3 and 4, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare Digital Pro Edition, both systems, Child of Light, PS3, PS4, and Vita. Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, Vita, the sequel, Goodbye Despair, I'm not saying that twice in one night, Vita only. Dark Souls 2, Destiny, PS3 and PS4, Digital Guardian Edition, PS3 and PS4. one of my all-time classic favorites, Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls, Ultimate Evil Edition 3 and PS3 and 4, Disney Infinity, which I'm not quite sure how that's going to work if you haven't already pre-purchased the hardware for that, but okay. PS3 and PS4. A game I do desperately want to pick up, but the reduction doesn't look to be that much, and that's Dragon Age Inquisition, PS3 and PS4, Inquisition Deluxe Edition, Far Cry 4, well worth a punt. FIFA 15 on PS3 and PS4, Hohokam, PS3, PS4 and Vita. Luftrausers, one of my favourite titled games of last year, just because it gives me mental images of those kind of World War I jodhpurs, where they started running short material next to the knees. Mercenary Kings, Metro Redux, Shadow Mordor again, Neverlone, Ollie Ollie, Outcast Bundle, Persona 4 Ultimax, Risen 3, South Park The Stick of Truth, which if you haven't played, you really should.
Oh, hell yeah.
How about just we'll put a link in the description?
Almost there, man. I'm almost over the horn. Telltale Game Collection, Walking Dead Season 2, Wolf Among Us Season Pass, Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, Ultra Street Fighter 4, Wolfenstein The New Order.
And he's broken.
And Guardian Down.
Just leave him there. Just leave him.
So yeah, definitely a lot of titles to choose from. I have to say though, although PlayStation are advertising up to 80% reductions if you're a PlayStation Plus member, I don't think the reductions are quite as generous, but then again, there are a lot more titles than there are on the Xbox One store, so definitely a little from column A and a little from column B on that one.
I'm looking at the Back to the Future game on PSN. $15.99. 5 episodes. Well, 5 game series or some, I don't know. I wonder if it's any good.
I didn't get that good reviews from what I
No.
remember.
Yeah, it wasn't one of Telltale's strongest, but it was one of the first ones that they started kind of really rolling out the episodic with. Jurassic Park, I think, was definitely the first one, and I mean, I've banged on about it in the last 3 podcasts. Walking Dead was certainly the one where they really hit their stride with it.
Jurassic Park, $24.99. Not feeling the love.
Well, you know what? It'd probably sell like hotcakes right by now, thanks to Jurassic World getting ready for release. A lot of hype behind that. Yeah, no, certainly if you are in the mood for, and let's face it, this is it's actually a really good time to do a game sale because it's the time of year where we get fewer and fewer games releasing. So if there's stuff you missed end of last year, maybe didn't get over Christmas, I certainly know there's a couple I'm looking at.
Interesting.
There's a few. I wouldn't say there was. I mean, I've got most of them. What's on here on Steam or whatever already. So,
oh, miss your money bags.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. But now certainly a good time if you're looking for a digital download. It has to be said. But moving it right along, and kind of touching on some statistical news. That's a big word for me at this time of day. And that's the kind of overwhelming numerical success that the Battlefield Hardline beta had. We were talking about this last week.
7 million people.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Well, the comparative stat was certainly, I mean, Destiny's beta broke all records with like 4.6 million players recorded being on it. But to be honest, I don't really think that's much of a surprise. And I think from a marketing standpoint, that's actually pretty cleverly done because what is the one thing that what was the one thing that Destiny did not have? Well, this is a quiz, gents. Who's going to get it? Who's going to get it?
Would it not have? Replayability?
Solo playability?
Yeah. The list continues on.
That went dark very, very quickly. No, it didn't have a PC release. So if you think about it, what has been one of the most popular game franchise of all time and still one of the most played franchise of all time on PC has been Battlefield.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not surprising that Destiny didn't know because, but it's Bungie. Halo was very late to the table with PC and you can't pick up some of them still on the PC.
Exactly, yeah. Well, you could get Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2, but that was Vista only. if you remember
Yeah.
that debacle.
Oh yeah, oh my god.
Because that was games for Windows, wasn't it? That was when that was back in those days.
And the first one with achievements. Or certainly one of the first ones. Oh lord, that was a painful experience. I did try to, I did like games for Windows Live because, I was heavily into my achievement whoring back in the day, but
What?
You never.
you never would have guessed, would you?
No, I liked it as well for a certain extent, but then you just kind of stopped using it and like just pretended it wasn't there until
No.
like some random message popped up for whatever reason.
And the overlay was like the most unresponsive thing ever.
Oh,
It only took several minutes to like go from your game to the menu to see your friends list to see what achievement you just unlocked or whatever. Yeah, no, it was pretty damn awful. But here's one thing I'm not surprised about in the reports that have come back from the Hardline beta, and that's that Hotwire was apparently the most popular mode played.
Yeah, the one where it's basically a card game.
Exactly, the one where you will do substantially well and help progress your unlocks easiest. Hop in the car, drive around, get the cash, away you go. So,
To be honest, if I was like the Battlefield developers, I would be very upset by that news. It's like, well, we've made all of our money on first-person shooters, and our first-person shooter modes were not the best.
and I did also like as well the other statistic they threw out, which was that the operator class was the most popular. It's like I couldn't help but notice that was the one that was at the start of the list that required the least amount of selection. So I don't know how valid a metric that is, to be honest.
Well, I just picked it because it was there. I picked a shotgun occasionally,
Exactly.
whatever
That's-
class that was on, but
It was literally a case of I logged in, went okay, spawn, done. Operator. Let's see what this is. Didn't even bother looking.
I just liked that you were able to pick up weapons in the field rather than having like a huge selection of different, death machine type weapons. It wasn't like overpowering you right from the get go.
It's one of these
it
things.
will be. But as soon as it's released, they'll, typical EA style or DICE style, they'll release packs that you can buy so you can get the top end weapons. From
the
day one.
holder sells out with all these packs. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like you're not an MMO. Stop it with the microtransactions.
I hate it.
Exactly. It's like, but AAA titles got to make their money. But it is a case of it's like, if this was a free-to-play game, people would be up in arms with that because people always jump on the bandwagon, going, "It's like, oh, you're making this free-to-play game pay to win rather than pay to keep it running or pay for cosmetic updates or what have you." It's like the fact is that pretty much from day one on Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, you could go in, here's the shortcut bundle for all packs and all jets and all vehicles and all weapons, and it's like. The combined total of those packs was like the cost of the game again. So it's like if you paid for the game, paid for premium, and paid for all those unlock packs, you've probably spent about 120, 130 quid.
Yeah. And that perfectly sidelines onto something I wanted to bring up is that if you have purchased a previous Battlefield game, such as 4, 3, or Bad Company 2, you get a free DLC for Hardline.
Yay.
Oh my god!
If you bought it on Origin, you
Using
get
that PC only.
Son of a bitch!
Exactly.
No, wait. How far back does it go?
It's
Like-
any Battlefield, isn't it?
your 2142 won't do it, I don't think.
Damn it! I've got Bad Company too.
Yeah, that'll do it. It's
There we
Battlefield
go. I'm
2.
sorry.
Or as IGN calls it, Battlefield 2 Bad Company.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever
doesn't
played
make
that
sense.
one.
Yeah, to
missed
be
that
honest, the
one.
comments have pretty much there's about 8 comments of that exact statement.
Sounds like it might be a good one though.
But Battlefield 2 was the best, so
You
That's
know
cool.
what?
So
I'll
we're
go
getting
on
it
a
on
limb.
PC then.
I'll go out on a limb and I'll say this. Clickbait. Sound off in the comment section below. Is my personal favorite Battlefield game of all time. While I was a huge fan of 2, Bad Company 2 was certainly the best balanced and the one I had the most enjoyment out of.
oh yeah, it's like Bad Company 2 was my favorite, and I've made it many times. But when I say the best, it means I probably mean the most popular. So
Yeah,
going on
without a
general
doubt, yeah.
consensus, because Battlefield 2 was like the most online played PC game of all time for about 400 years.
It was certainly popular.
Damn, I've been alive that long. That's-
Well, there was still people like when they shut down the servers. Was there not people like continue keeping characters on the server to keep it live because they were just tailing it off towards the end?
Yeah.
There was literally a case of there was once I think it was Battlefield. It was certainly EA related. I can't
Yeah.
remember the exact details, but yeah, there was a case of guys just would not log out, so they couldn't shut it down. It was quite a valiant little effort.
I mean, I liked it, but like for some reason, when I think of Battlefield, 2142 just cut it for me. I don't know what it was about that game, but for some reason,
Titan mode. That's what it was. It was Titan mode.
I just loved that. It's just like, so good. And then it went away, and I cried.
But with good reason. I mean, 2142 was a well-balanced game to boot, and Titan mode was something we'd never seen before.
Oh yeah.
It was such a departure from what we'd seen with the original Battlefield 1942 and Battlefield 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got stuff that it did particularly well that other first-person shooters in recent generations haven't managed to emulate. And mech and vehicular-based combat, mobile objective bases. It was good times to be a Battlefield player.
Yep.
But yeah, certainly. I mean, I'm sure Hardline's going to be a big success. It's releasing at the right time. It's far enough away from the next Call of Duty. It's generated a lot of buzz and excitement.
Well, there is a petition online to get Hardline rolled in it as a Battlefield DLC, not a full-blown game. It's been up for about 8-9 months now or something, and it has 1,005 supporters.
That sucks. That's a bit more than what we get, but
It needs 198,995 more to actually become a valid petition on change.org. And it's an actual change.org petition, not just some crappy one set up.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
I don't think that's going to get the traction.
But I think it's like a lot of people are just moaning because it's the Battlefield fanboys that are doing it.
Yeah.
And the people that only play Battlefield because they're used to getting a big Battlefield game every couple of years.
Yeah.
And because like Battlefield 4 was only out a year ago, that is one of the main reasons they're asking for it. Saying, well, we've not had the chance to finish playing that yet. It was so broken. And it's like, well, what are you going to do? In a year's time, Battlefield 4 is still going to be broken because they've still not fixed everything.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like DICE themselves have turned around and said, it's like, they've handed development of Hardline off to Visceral Games, famous for Dead Space. And how EA got to that one, I'll never know. And I've got nothing against Visceral. I like the Dead Space series. It's a bit of a jump to say, so right, here's our most precious first-person shooter title. That's like taking FIFA or Madden away from the EA Sports guys and handing it over to like Telltale or something like that.
Oh my god.
You just like, you know what? We need to mix this up a little bit. You guys have a go. We're like, we do adventure story-based games. What the fuck are you asking us for? But
I think, could someone say Medal of Honor?
No, I'd rather not. Danger close. It's like, oh god, the first Medal of Honor. It's like, yeah, so here's our game and here's our multiplayer. Someday EA picks up the phone to DICE. Right. Build us a multiplayer game, please. Thank you. Skin it like this. Much obliged. We'll sell the two together. Thank you. Which was basically a very short and brief truncation of what happened with the development of that game.
Oh. Why does the single player and the multiplayer play differently? How was that possible?
If any game should have been aborted, that was certainly one of them.
That was literally just two teams of people that had never met at all.
Probably didn't speak to each other yet.
Until after, it was all released, like, oh, yeah, maybe we should have spoke to each other for at least 5 minutes.
And then if you did play Medal of Honor Advanced Warfighter, Warfare, or whatever the hell that one was called, I've got it in my Origin library, because I got it for like £3 out a game when it was on sale and nobody'd wanted it. And when I actually got to play the multiplayer of that, good lord, I could see why they handed it over to DICE. I didn't think it was possible to make it worse, but Jesus, they managed it. It was just not a happy place to be.
Classic.
Really, really awful. But segueing into further bad news, and this is bad news for me on a personal note. I'm rolling with this story because personally I'm deeply, deeply offended, hurt, and crying over this one. Is for anyone who's a hardcore sim racing fan, you may have seen I've got a handful of racing games and stuff that on my channel, Assetto Corsa and a little bit of a Forza Horizon. Although I know that's not a sim. Don't worry, I know that's an arcade game. I'm aware of the difference. is that Slightly Mad Studios again has turned round within the last 24, 48 hours and said that they are yet again delaying Project Cars. Now, granted, this one isn't as bad as delaying it from a November 21st to a March release as they did last year. They're only knocking this one back a couple of weeks, but it's one of these things. Yeah, I'd like to get the game and I'd like it to work, but yeah, God, it's disappointing. And it's like, it's one of these things. It's like, I suppose as gamers we're never happy, are we? It's like, we get so many games that are shoveled out in front of us that are unfinished, and then we complain about day one patches and constant bug fixes and hot fixes.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, to be honest,
And then we complain when they turn around and go, well, we're going to hold this back till it's ready.
to be honest, it's obviously just going to be a good thing that they do that. I mean, I do sense the disturbance in the force. There's 1,000 souls crying out right now hearing this news.
Those voices that were suddenly silenced, yeah. You see, the thing that irks me, and the bit that I don't get, is Namco Bandai turned round in November and said the reason why we're delaying it was specific. It wasn't quality based. It wasn't polish based. It was the specific reasoning was to say it's like, well, it's a new IP. We really want to give it the best chance by releasing it in a quiet window of the year. Now, there was no Gran Turismo, no main Forza title other than Horizon out. But you've moved it from November to March, saying it's like, well, and it also gives us a bit of chance to polish, was the follow-on sentence. So now that they've knocked it back another couple of weeks, how much of that little polish was actually the reason required? How much are they not telling us?
Well, they're following. I think they have to watch that they don't fall into the situation where they've delayed it enough that if it doesn't come out perfect,
It never
would be
will.
worse if they released a broken game. And I think case in point on that was Duke Nukem.
I knew you were going to say that.
Because that was delayed for about 3 years or something like that, maybe longer. I think it was in the making for about 10 years.
When
it come out,
it was
it was
10
like,
to 15 years or something.
Yeah, when
obscene
it come
like
out,
that.
it was absolutely terrible. It's like, how have you released a terrible game? You've been making it for a better part of a decade and a half.
Well, didn't the rights to Duke Nukem get bought over by a whole bunch of different companies at one point when they were when that 10-year period they did make half a game and then
Well,
whatever
exactly,
funding ran out.
because 3D Realms spent so long retooling and redesigning and rebuilding and reimagining Duke Nukem Forever that, yeah, literally they ran out of money and went bust. So it had to get handed over to other companies.
Yep.
Stuck in limbo for years.
To be honest, I think we can spend the next hour talking about
Couldn't we just?
Duke Nukem. So, but I hear you've got some news on the old World of Tanks front.
Oh, don't adjust. And it's like for some purists out there, it's like I'm a big World of Tanks fan, and I have been for a good few years now. Richie, I know you've played Outcast. I've bugged you on a couple of occasions, and I'll wear you down. If it involves a chloroform soaked rag and some gaffer tape, it's like I will get you to play it eventually. But Wargaming.net has confirmed that they're going to be releasing the Xbox One version now. But a year or so ago, they released the Xbox 360 version, and they released it on the same model as it is on PC. It's free to play, and you can obviously buy your premium for enhanced experience and credit earning, and you can buy tank packs for premium tanks and blah blah blah, so on and so forth, premium consumables and such. But what they've announced, and what I quite like, is the fact that they have announced that they're going to release an Xbox One version, so obviously updated graphics, and it's going to be completely cross-platform. So you will be able to play, if you've been playing it on Xbox 360 and you've upgraded to Xbox One, you can carry your account across and you can continue where you were and you can keep playing.
That's really good, actually.
If you're playing on Xbox One and your friends have been playing it on 360 and you got rid of yours or whatever, well, you can pick it up and you can play with your friends. That can't hurt. I'm quite impressed by that, actually.
That is really cool.
Cross-platform play has always been one of my pet peeves, and why they don't implement it. And from what I remember when Destiny came out, is some of their developers released, and they were saying there's nothing technically stopping them from doing it.
Nope.
It's all basically 50%, well, it's probably more like 80, 90% commercial reasons. And because, if they release it like that and your friends have got one, but you can play with them on your other one, you won't buy the other console. Whereas some people will pick up both so they can, And the other reason was specifically for the Xbox One and the Xbox 360 was because the Xbox One has a higher resolution. When players are in the distance, on an Xbox One, he'll be 4 pixels high or something like that in the distance, and you can see him. But on the Xbox 360, it'll be like a tiny 2-pixel blur that you can't really make out. So there's an advantage. But going from the Xbox One across to the PS4, you don't have that advantage because they're basically the same.
Yeah, pretty much almost identical architecture. Ooh, I can feel the flame war starting already just from that sentence. You cannot say one is identical to the other. One has GDDR5.
What have you done?
Yeah, well, I think we can all safely go on record here, and I'll mitigate this one. I'll throw some water on the flames before we step off of that topic. And it's like, Richie and I, we play on both Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Sorry, Outcast. But, Outcast, you've been playing on PlayStation 4, and I think we all comfortably agree the PlayStation 4 is a far better piece of hardware. It just, it's slightly more powerful, it's a bit more streamlined, but that being said, it's like, Richie and I have played the same games, namely Destiny and COD, on both, and aside from a few, what I would say, network optimization improvements on the PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One, because Destiny did load a little bit quicker. It still had moments where, you'd be stuck in space and getting crashed to orbit and whatnot, but, the texture streamed a little bit quicker and a little bit this and the next thing, but, the games feel the same to play. We are talking processors which are pretty much identical. We have a little bit more VRAM on the PlayStation 4, so yeah, you're going to see improvements, and especially with a faster GDDR5 RAM, your texture streaming is going to be much quicker.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the games look exactly the same. It goes back to the old 360 PS3 argument, whereas you'd get a PS3 exclusive such as, Metal Gear Solid, or, one of the other ones.
Uncharted,
Uncharted. Like, someone who's designed the game to work on that console alone, and it looks like Metal Gear and like Uncharted, it looks so good on the PS3. They're using that, cell processor exactly the way it should be used. But then you get the games that are cross-platform on both of them, and they look pretty much identical on them. Now, if you did like a close-up, pixel by pixel comparison, I'm sure you can see the difference. But, on a small, 28-inch monitor like I play on, 1080p, they look exactly the same.
Exactly. Well, actually, it's like I found out one thing I did because we have our first child inbound. Is I've moved both the PlayStation and the Xbox off the main television and consolidated myself into my fortress of solitude in the corner, and are running those on my main HD monitors. And it's like, yeah, I could switch between two at the same time, and yeah, differentials are minimal at best. And if I have to say one thing, they actually look better on the better pixel density monitor than they did on my larger screen. But I think that's just, dots per inch pixel density versus, a dedicated graphics panel versus a multimedia TV. But,
it's definitely a case where the bigger the TV as well, you're going to see a bit more fuzz.
Yeah, well, the pixels are physically bigger. There's
that, and it's always useful to have the smaller TV for the faster
refresh rates.
The refresh rates, your 1 milliseconds and all that jazz.
Yeah, it also depends, because I remember back on the Metal Gear PS3 days on your Plasma Outcast.
Oh my god, yeah.
It looked so good, because the Plasma had really good color depth and things like that.
The color on the Plasmas were really nice.
It looked amazing on that. And as soon as you got an OLED TV today or something like that, it'd look so much better on that.
Outcast, if I remember, and I think this is the final point I'll make on this stage before we move on to the next topic, but if memory serves right, I seem to recall a somewhat faint outline of Snake on your screen.
That was the problem with Plasma. Screen burn was a problem.
From the initial installation.
Loading, I mean, Richie, you'll remember the loading. Sweet Jesus.
God, I installed it every like 3 seconds.
I mean, you watched, about 40 minutes worth of footage. You played about 10, and then you had to install the next pack. Well, the
And then you
next
watched 40
section,
minutes worth of snake smoking.
having a cigarette. You're like, oh my god. But yeah, it literally, screen burn was well, I wouldn't say it was screen burn, but the plasma was not moving for a good few days afterwards. But
Yeah,
I missed the plasma, but god damn, they're so unreliable.
indeed. Richie, I know you were going to mention a little bit about Evolve this week as well.
Yes, myself and Kahuna have picked up Evolve on the PS4, and we've been playing that, and it's a lot more enjoyable than I thought it was.
I think you have stated that it's like you've been quite surprised by how it plays.
Yeah, it's I've not played as a monster yet, but I've got my preferred class because you go in and like the first thing it does is it makes you play through a tutorial, which is really good. But you play as the monster, which I thought was a bit weird because I don't want to play as the monster. I want to play something else. So I wish that it would let you choose the class for the tutorial because the only two tutorials that it gave me were first the monster and then the big assault class, whatever that is. And it's like I don't want to play any of those. Like I will play them obviously because you choose which your order of preference and then it just dumps you into it. But the gameplay was quite good. There is a few niggles I think on it due to the fact that one of the games that Kahuna and myself played was
I know the one you're going to mention.
The monster just kept running away from us, and that's what everyone, because that's what Kahuna, you said your tactic would be. Basically, if you can level your guy, you level the monster up to number 3.
Mm-hmm.
He gets the objective of to destroy like a power generator or something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
So what you can do is, because your guy can move faster, you can just circle the map constantly and run away from the guys, leveling up, get to 3 and then run there, and you're so powerful when you're level 3. It's like we were playing against the AI, and he just obliterated our entire team in about 4 seconds.
Admittedly, it was a little unfair that in that mode we did get pitted against the level 3 Wraith, because that thing it's super fast. And unfortunately, because our guys got separated, but that's the thing though, it's like the counterpoint of the argument I'll come to 2 seconds. Yeah, the Wraith got our Trapper, just absolutely decimated him. I ran in and tried to Rambo revive him, and that was the biggest mistake I ever made because I just got eviscerated in 2 seconds, and then that was it. It was a uphill struggle from there.
Yeah, plus it's like it seems to be when you're doing the maps where you're having to run for ages to chase the guy, there's a lot of the other players out there who drop out. So I think at one point on one of our games we lost our assault class, and we had an AI assault and an AI trapper, and it was just us, and it was like I never noticed until the end that you dropped out because you still got the AI versions, and unless you're like staring at their name,
you won't notice. But
and I honestly didn't notice until the end, and I was like, no wonder we lost because I'm constantly using the shield thing on them, and I was like, well, there's no one actually shooting at this thing. Is it any good?
Actually, like that one where we did have the dropout, it's like you can switch between class because that was one that we did pull off because I switched from medic.
So we had that was
medic
the one
from the trapper.
Yeah, we had the trapper dropout, but we still had our assault guy.
I was still the assault guy. Sorry, yeah, that was the game.
That was the one after it where the guy got to he got to level 3. It was not the AI one. He got to level 3, and our assault class must have dropped out ages ago, and I didn't notice. Otherwise, I would have switched to that class. I didn't even notice that he'd gone. But it's a bit annoying that they can drop out like that, and you're kind of if I'm playing on my own, for example, and everyone else drops out, I'm sitting there against the monster on my own with 3 AI. But apart from that, I found it quite enjoyable.
It is. It's certainly enjoyable. It's like, I think the reason that the tutorial begins with the monster is because, to be 100% honest, it's like we could take Outcast right now, sit him in front of the PlayStation 4, hand him the controller as any one of the 4 hunter classes, and your previous experience of muscle memory with first-person shooters, you'll fill in the blanks. You'll do that. Because the monster is so different, you've got like ground pounds, you've got flame breath, you've got different attacks and things like that, and it's third person versus first. I think that's one that they need to get across to everybody. But yeah, like you say, it's a bit bizarre that you kind of have to unlock. It's kind of like the license challenges in Gran Turismo. It's like you have to complete one in like a certain par time and then improve those to get the other classes to then go through and do those ones as well. Like, why would you want to keep tutorial behind a progression? Well, it's not behind a progression wall, but you don't have to be at a certain time. You'll get bronze, silver, and gold awards depending on how fast you go, but you have to complete them in a sequence. Surely it'd make more sense, because I've been playing medic, you've been playing support, and it's like, well, why can't I just go in and have a play with the medic? I love the medic. Medic's brilliant. That armor-piercing sniper rifle that Val's got and the trank gun is immense. That's such a combat-effective combination.
Yeah, but I think it's like maybe the last point we might say on this, because we can probably talk about this all day, is again, if you've got 4 guys in playing it and they're all playing their roles, I think you would decimate the monster every single time.
Yeah, it would take a really talented or really lucky player of the monster to be able to do it.
Yeah.
It's got a good balance, and it can go either way. We've won as many as we've lost, and we've had some crushing wins and crushing defeats, but there's very little in the middle. We've had a couple of close ones, though.
Definitely.
But yeah, moving it on, and I think there's been a fair bit of a controversy about this one this week, but I think it's like a good discussion point for us to finish up on this evening, and that's tying in with the Order 1886. It's like I was talking to Richie about this game the other week, and first party exclusive title for the PlayStation 4, looks absolutely stunning. Got a brilliant graphical design to it. Nice kind of Gears of War cover-based shooter, which did hook my attention. But there's a lot of negative press surrounding it at the moment in time, thanks to primarily a leaked playthrough that hit YouTube. Now, I won't mention the channel's name or anything like that, because obviously there's a bit of controversy about that and stuff like that. But Google, will help solve that problem for you. And the reason why it's caused so much controversy is, and it's very divisive. There's camps on both sides, but it's that the length of the game, and this didn't appear to be a speed run, but people will argue that, well, obviously he didn't look under every nook and cranny, and he didn't find every collectible. Is the fact that the game was completed in about 5.5 hours. And the developers of 1886 have turned around and said, well, we estimate the game time to be around about 8 to 10 hours. And as we know, your modern day console games aren't cheap. You can pre-order the Order 1886 on the PlayStation Store right about now, and it's 50 quid.
Well, is it really all that, big of an issue? I mean, to be honest, most of the games recently from the end of the last gen and on the current gen, I mean, the games haven't really been all that long. I mean, 3 hours is pretty much average-wise if you're, going through a story mission, I would say. I mean, you've got games like Murdered and that other horror type one, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. And it's a bunch of games that are all about, 3 hours, 4 hours, if you're just kind of sauntering through the storyline. So, I mean, this is nothing. Personally, I don't think this is anything new. The length of a game.
Nothing new under the sun. And it's like, I think it does prove point to the old nihilistic saying that everything's essentially pointless. You'll come back on the same point over and over and over and over and over again, just through sheer variation and repetition. But yeah. I think what's got a lot of people up in arms is the fact is, and here's kind of what I was wanting to bring as a discussion point. Is if a developer, and let's face it, we've had developers turn around and blatantly lie to us in the past. It's like we can all quote the Aliens Colonial Marines E3 demo.
No, please don't.
Yeah. That was, and then we get the game 2 years after, and it's like, the fuck?
What the fuck is this?
This looks nothing like the trailer you presented to us previously. It looks like it's been made 2 years before you made the trailer. But when the developers turn around and say, right, okay, we expect you to get on average 8 to 10 hours from our game. And then somebody turns around, well, I'm completing this in 5. It's not so much a case of, our long games, short games, we'll run through Call of Duty in 3 to 4 hours. We've all played games like Final Fantasy, Legend of Zelda, Mass Effect, that, we've clocked 20 to 40 hours in a single playthrough.
I think from my point, it comes through to the type of game it is as well. Because, looking at this, and for me, it's it's very much a Gears of War style game.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I reckon if we run through Gears of War, we can probably complete it in 5 hours, if not quicker.
It looks like a very linear kind of game,
Yeah, it's like, and if they artificially extend it to say, oh, I'm going to make it so this game lasts, 26 hours for you to complete it, then you just get into what a lot of people complained about, something like Alien Isolation, where they just keep moving the finish line.
Exactly.
And it's just a repetition of, well, I'm just doing the same thing over again. You just keep changing what I need to do slightly. So I think for this type of game, 5 hours is not a bad thing to do. But you need to have a good multiplayer aspect, I think, for these type of games to be successful.
Which is what this game does not have. But I think the point that I'm maybe not getting across is the fact that the developer has turned around and told us that the game is going to be X length, and then there's proof that it's not.
See, I mean, really, when the developers say these type of things, I think they're taking into account casual gamers, guys that are not exactly like masters of the universe when it comes to gaming and such. As we've got a friend or two that is like that. Where they don't play games too much, but they do enjoy it. So it would take these types of people, that maybe that length of time to do it. Not like hardcore gamers that have put thousands of hours into computer games through the years. I think it'd be more the casual gamer is what they were referring to when it comes to the amount of hours that it could take to complete it. You complete the story and then you go back and pick up all the rubbish, and all that, and look at the lore, because a lot of people these days, they don't read the documents that you find in games or the lore that you find in games. They just go, well, I'll read that whenever I feel like it. But if you take into account, you've got to sit and read all these type things, and like I said, casual gaming itself, I think that's what they were trying to get at. That's the hours that it would take that type of gamer, to complete.
It comes to the fact that, like, when they design games, they don't design them for the person who just wants to be the first person to complete it. Yeah. So they just bypass the entire story and just run through it as quick as they can. And from what I understand, that's what this person did. They just ran from, point A to point B, where point B being the finish, as quick as they can without actually experiencing the game or the story.
Well, that's the thing on that point is what the order has is, in a couple of the complaints that have been made just from the previews that have been released of the game thus far, is the fact is there's a lot of where you're running and gunning obviously, but then it will take you to another cutscene.
Right.
These cutscenes are unskippable.
Yeah, that is one of my major peeves on games these days. Is a lot of them are trying to fill a lot of stuff in with cutscenes that you cannot skip. And like for me, Destiny is one of the biggest perpetrators of that of all time. And the fact that it's like, I've got it on 2 different consoles. I've got 4 different characters on it, and I've got to watch the same cutscenes that I can't skip, just in order so I can get to level 20, so I can get the light and put my good armor on the other guys got. And it's like a lot of games these days are trying to fill it with. It's like, let's put a story into it. It's like, yeah, you can put a story in it, but make it an interactive story. We don't want to we don't want to watch a film here. If we wanted to watch a film, I'd go to the cinema. I wouldn't pay 60 quid to watch a film.
Exactly, you wouldn't.
I don't know. I paid 40 quid for Metal Gear.
Yeah, but the thing was, though, at least in Metal Gear, it's like everybody has that experience. It's the same with Resident Evil. It's like you have your first playthrough where you sit and you watch those cutscenes and you get the story.
You read every pickup, the little documents. And you'll notice that on my playthrough of Resident Evil recently, where I just literally, everything you pick up text-based, not reading it, off I go.
Yeah.
Itchy tasty. You got to read that. Everyone has to read that.
I read that every time. I did, I've got to say.
But it's the thing is, like, as you know, when you're going for, like, those big boss rating speed runs, or the run that's going to get you the rocket launcher in Resident Evil, you're skipping the cutscenes. And that cuts down your playtime to, like, sub 3.5, 4 hours.
Well, there's some games out there
specifically
that have
for that, but that
trophies and achievements that are taking you like, to complete the game in 2 hours. I think there's one for Resident Evil actually, on Steam, where if you complete the game in like set amount of hours, you get an achievement. That's like, obviously you're speeding through that like the speed is flipping sound.
Exactly, and it's one of these things as well. It's like a complete opposite point on that would be a game that Richie and I both love is Trials series. If you actually took that from the sense, and going back to your point of, estimated game times are obviously brought about from, the core average gamer. Now, I am not phenomenal at Trials by any manner of means, so my average playthrough time to get from the end of level 1 to the end of the most difficult level in a cumulative time would probably be something in the region of about 6 years. and about 3 billion resets.
Yeah, but Trials is a different game. Trials is one of those. It's like the old, the old Mega Drive games of like Echo the Dolphin or like Crash Bandicoot, where it enrages you so much you refuse
keep
to quit
coming
until
back,
you've completed that. It's like, I'm going to do this. I'm not leaving until I've done this. And next thing you know, it's like 4 a.m. a week on Sunday.
Exactly. And you're wondering, have I not slept?
You got bloody tans and
How did I eat?
thumbs.
It's one of these things. Like, it is quite interesting. For me personally, from because I know I was talking to you about possibly picking it up, but I've looked. The more I've seen about the Order 1886, I've kind of gone, you know what? It's very, very pretty, but it doesn't look like there's actually much game there. So I'm going to hold off and wait to see what the general consensus is.
You could just hold off and see my videos on it, right? That's what you need to do.
Oh, a subtle sly plug. I like that. Well, obviously, Outcast's going to be doing his series on it. Smoothly segued in on the side there.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's one of these things. Like the bit that disturbs me, and from my own personal standpoint, is I've played games that I can complete in an hour, 2 hours. That's fine. I've played games that will take soak up 80, 100 hours. It's like, I think I was looking at like my gameplay statistics in like World of Tanks the other week. Now, granted, I've been playing it for like 2.5, nearly 3 years now. And while I have taken some extended breaks from the game, I've locked up something in the region of about 1,700 hours in that game over the years. It's like, I've got colleagues at work who, 500 hours worth of Destiny since it came out in September. It's basically been a second full-time job. So regardless of repetition, lack of story, or whatever, if you enjoy the game's got replayability. What's kind of irked me is the fact is I'm very cautious nowadays. Thanks to things like Aliens, Colonial Marines, I don't trust trailers anymore.
No,
You know?
no.
I don't think you can anymore because it's too easy to post-process and make things look pretty.
Well, you see that
But
on the
this-
bottom of the adverts all the time. Like, this is not actually in-game footage. You're like,
Not
"Yeah, but no."
representative of gameplay, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the time Square Enix tried to fool us with a Final Fantasy VII remake, and it turned out that it was not game footage, it was just something they rendered.
It was just a
People
render
are
test
absolutely
of the PS3.
mental.
Oh my god. I was in so much pain that day. I was like, it looks beautiful, but it hurts.
Yeah, but it's like, what it's like, myself and I know Outcast as well, like one of our favourite games of all time is the Resident Evil series.
Mm-hmm.
And Resident Evil 1, the original for the PlayStation,
Oh my god.
I probably lost about, 200-300 hours playing that game, and that was a PlayStation 1 game, there wasn't none of this multiplayer action. That was me just running around with like, Outcast with us, or like Cern with us, or Gazgul, one of those guys with us.
With
But,
full load in your pants.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I could, like, the first time I played that, I think it took me like 26 hours to complete it or something like that. And by the end of the time I played it, I could run through it in about 58 minutes from start to finish. And it's like, that is pretty fast, It's like, so that these games that people are saying, oh, you can just speed run through it in this time. And it's like, well, that doesn't mean anything. It's about the enjoyment you get out of the game. Because if you enjoy the game and you enjoy the way it plays, you can make the game last a long time,
Oh, definitely, definitely. It's like Star Wars Galaxies. I mean, Rich, you'll get this, where I think we spent literally days of our lives for years playing that game for a good while. I mean, it was even like it was all that fascinating, but for some reason it just had that hinge that kept you coming back,
Once it's
Yeah, definitely. Planetside as well, So first
Oh
person
my
shooter,
god,
but it was all
Planetside,
night.
yeah.
And I lost like weeks of my life playing that game.
I think I spent weeks of my life just in your flat, basically, living there. I had my own home and everything, and I was like, nope, just going to stay here, play that.
Yep.
It is. It's one of these things. I suppose, again, it does come down to the point that it is completely subjective. But again, for me, it's like, and even taking into account, it's like, well, we're saying this game should take you X amount of time. I don't like the fact that the developer turn and say, it's an 8 to 10 hour game, and then
Yes, a developer should, just
there
say
should be a bit more
it takes as long as it takes you.
you to complete it.
That's what their feed should be. It should be some people can speedrun it, some people can't. It's how you want to do it,
Exactly. It's like, what, come out with something a bit more PR based and say, it's like, we've crafted a third person shooter experience like no other, or give it the usual spin and bullshit that people get paid
Don't take
a
it
lot
as a
of.
personal attack and try and defend yourself. It doesn't work.
Exactly. Just
It
makes you look
enrages people and it makes
more
people
guilty.
angry.
Exactly, and I think that's where a lot of the debate has kicked off with this. But
So let's wrap this up because Kahuna's going to start freaking out in a minute by the time it's taking.
Well, I do have one other point.
I have 2 other points, but I'll let you go first.
Okay, it's like mine is like I think this will get Kahuna excited and sad once I do the final reveal and the final bit of information on it.
oh no.
However, it's a bit of kitsch news on this. There is a company called the NECA, which is the National Entertainment Collectibles Association. They make like gaming collectibles and things like that.
Yep.
They are making a fully licensed and fully street legal Halo Master Chief
helmet.
biker helmet.
Indeed.
What?
I have
But
seen it.
it's US only.
No.
But there was a games convention today in New York that they were at, and they were showing like the prototypes and that of it, and it's pretty close to being finished from what I understand. Like it flips up, it's got venting in it, it's got UV protection on the visor. It looks pretty cool from the pictures I've seen of it. So
Tell you
far.
what, it is every cosplayer's dream, that helmet, because if you're going to make some Mjolnir armor, then there you go. There's a completion for it. And what's more is you can ride your motorcycle to the convention.
Yep.
That's badass. That is badass.
It is pretty damn awesome. It is one of these things. Is like, despite the fact I don't have a motorcycle, and it has been a long time since I've ridden one, I would purchase one of those just on the ground.
Just in your car,
Drive to work with it on every day.
Exactly.
Yeah, just going to the shops.
Be doing an Ace Ventura with your head out the window just to show everyone your helmet,
Wait a minute, do you want to rephrase that?
Whoa.
Whoa.
Let's keep it PG-13, people.
Let's roll it back in.
Anyway, so some news from me, the luscious Outcast Zero. The new Humble Bundle, the Square Enix Bundle 2. We've got a few different games. Not many that I would be too bothered about picking up because I've already got them. But anyway, some good ones there. We've got Hitman Absolution. We've got
worth a pickup.
Supreme Commander 2. Hitman Go, which is an Android game. And if you pay the average of $7.05, you can unlock Thief, Murdered Soul Suspect, and Deus Ex Human Revolution Director's Cut.
Sorry, what was that last one?
Deus Ex, even.
Just checking.
Director's Cut of that, and there's more games to come apparently if you're paying the average. But also, if you pay $15 or more, you can unlock Tomb Raider and Sleeping Dogs. And Sleeping Dogs is definitely worth the cash on that alone as well, to be honest. Sleeping Dogs is a really good game. Well, Tomb Raider's not too bad as well. But a final note from me would be for you Final Fantasy fans out there, they are bringing out a new Final Fantasy Dissidia game, which will be arcade-based. It was recently... I wouldn't say leaked, but it was recently announced in Japan that they're going to bring out a Final Fantasy Dissidia game for arcades only at the moment, but they are looking to bring it out onto consoles later on once the success of the arcade version is come to light.
Measured.
Yeah, I mean, it's full graphics. There is Dissidia games out on the PSP where you get to play your favorite Final Fantasy characters, but on the arcade version, it will be full current-gen graphics, 2v2, basically Tekken style kind of action, but with that Dissidia running around the map like a crazy headless chicken type feel. But obviously you still get all your latest and greatest. Well, I wouldn't say latest because she who shall not be named isn't exactly Shishu Shashushu. Yeah, she who will not be named isn't exactly the best, but you get to play Cloud and all of the.
Are you possibly talking about a little known character who is?
I don't know who you're talking about. No, what? No idea.
I could count the amount of hours I've played Final Fantasy on one hand, but even I know that person.
No. I have no idea what you're talking about. You need to stop talking about the weather.
Well, Mass Effect 4 has been confirmed. What can we say? Just throw that one in there.
Yeah. Well, that's all of the. I could go on, but I'd save you. I'm going to save you the headache of having to edit the hell out of this.
Well, it's like I think there's just one final point I want to raise. Is the way that some of these games are going in terms of, I think it leads back to our cross-platform talk, because I was reading up on a new MMO that was coming out. I can't remember from the name of it, but it had this really sweet feature where it's like when you're playing it, it's people on Android devices. The game was coming out for Android, and what they did, it was like basically it was a console MMO style game. And people on Android, what they did is they controlled a drone that was actually in the console world, so they can
You
defend.
are talking about The Division.
The Division, that was the one.
That's it.
And I thought that was like one of the greatest things I've ever read ever, because like I love that someone's actually thinking about this and thinking, what can we do? You know, let's get people working together and stuff. So like, if you've got the game, you're going to be sitting and work, and your mates are playing it, and you can just like jump on your tablet and or you're like out and about or something, jump on your tablet and still go around with them. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool. I don't know if you've seen like the E3 footage from it, but it was a pretty smart implementation because being a Tom Clancy game, God, I'm going to run away with this pretty quick. Is the fact that obviously, you know, the drone control is obviously like, you know, second screen interaction, but it was kind of cool because it's like, you know, in the demo, it's like they had generic friends A through D, and then generic friend F, who was off screen, went, oh, well, I'll sign out on my phone and I'll join you guys. And then you see the drone flying in off screen, and like there's some bad guys hunkered behind a signpost on top of a building, and then they get marked, and then the guy with the sniper rifle goes, right, you're mine. You know, because it gives you like the full HUD overlay that Advanced Warfighter introduced us to many years ago. And yeah, as you say, that is a super cool addition to the game, and The Division is one I'm certainly looking to pick up.
Me too.
Definitely.
Alrighty. Well, guys, that has been another emotional run through of this week's Hot Topics. I'd like to thank both Outcast and Richie for joining me again for the podcast. We will be introducing another member of the Sonic Death Monkey team next
I hope it's
week.
female. It's such a flipping sausage factory in here.
Well, I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed.
Ah, God damn it.
It'll be a mystery reveal next week.
It's not that a mystery, it's male, guys. This, you know, don't bother.
You know, we stopped doing
No,
the website.
bother.
Please bother. Like, comment, subscribe, bother, all of the above. But,
And I've got an addition that Outcast has now been kicked out of the podcast.
we appear to have lost him on the call.
Hello? Can you hear me?
A final little closing note, and I probably should have mentioned this right at the start, actually, because I'll be very surprised if anybody's still with us at this point, is the fact is that as we are trying to grow the channel and get everybody involved in SDM, we now have our own Facebook page,
Oh my
which, Richie, if I remember correctly, is facebook.com/wearesdm.
That's correct.
That's the one. So
Unfortunately, SDM was only 3 characters, and you need to have at least 5 for the end of a Facebook. So
damn you naming conventions. But so you know, please swing by, check that out. Please, you know, follow us on Twitter. We've got SDM_Kahuna, Outcast0, and SDM Richie. You know, get involved with us. You know, hit us up on our YouTube channels. Like, click, subscribe, comment, all of the above. You know, we really want to hear from anybody who's involved in listening to us, and any kind of feedback from you guys would be very much appreciated. So, again, guys, thank you so much for your time this evening.
No problem.
no problem.
No problem. And until next week, and the latest addition to our team, I will see you guys later.
Au
Sausage
revoir.
factory.